We have a mix of people on the webinar today. Some people who are subscribing to our service, some people who are looking to maybe find out a bit more about our views and what we're doing in this space. So we'll both share some of our perspectives and research with you and tell you a little bit about our work in this area. Any questions, please use the chat feature. And we will be running a couple of polls where you can vote for different options during the webinar as well. Okay, if we move on to the next slide, then you should, on your screens, be able to see the slide change now. And you can see, for those of you that don't know me, John Slow, you can see what I look like, and you can also see my colleagues. So I'll let my two colleagues who are here with me today introduce themselves.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Arthur Joannick speaking. So I'm the manager of the Connect Home service. My work in Delta involves mainly Connect Home related things, either on research based on one-on-one consultancy basis.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ali Datka. I'm an analyst at Delta Energy and Environment, and my focus is primarily on the Connected Home Research Service.
Thanks, Arthur. Thanks, Ali. So not with us on the call, but another picture we see is Nigel Timperley, a principal analyst at Delta, and he works with us on this topic and has a long background in the utility space, which brings some valuable experience to our research as well. So we have at Delta a long history in the distributed energy and heat space, and around 20 of us working at Delta, and often interaction with different aspects of connectivity. What we would like to do now is have our first poll and ask you some questions. So just to help you know who's on the call, I'm going to ask you to just tell us what type of company you work for. So you should see now a poll appearing on your screen, and simply asking you to say whether you work for a utility, heating appliance manufacturer, smart thermostat or connected home provider, telco, or other. So it's anonymous, we don't see your votes, but obviously we see the final scores. We can see the votes coming in now. I'll just give you another few seconds to vote if you haven't voted, and then we can show you the results of the poll. Okay, now if we should be able to show you the results if the software works. Okay, so you can see we've got around half the participants from utilities, no telcos on the call, so while we do work with telcos, none of them are on the call today, and a number from the heating sector, and a number of connected home startups, and some others as well from different backgrounds. So hopefully that gives you a feel for who's on the call today. So what we'd like to do is to briefly give you a short introduction to Delta, for those of you that don't know us, tell you a bit about our Connected Home service, and then share some of our findings from our recent State of the Market report. Have some questions, tell you what we're doing next in this area, and then wrap up at the end. So we'll finish absolutely no later than 9:45 UK time. Okay. If we move on to the next slide, so a very quick introduction for those of you that don't know Delta. We're a research and consulting company focusing on the customer end of the energy value chain. So looking at the various different topics you can see in the yellow box, primarily in the demand side at the customer end, but increasingly looking at the connections between the demand side, generation, and networks part of the energy space. We provide various different types of research, but generally focusing around the market. Our main clients are energy companies and product manufacturers, with occasional work for investors in the finance sector and for policymakers. And we work in three different ways, so normal consultancy, and then multi-client studies, one-off reports, and subscription-based research services. So you can see on this slide, I won't talk through this slide, but you can see the range of activity that we carry out. With a Connected Home service, being one of 7 different research subscription services that we provide at Delta. And around half of our work is on these research services and the other half on consultancy and studies. At the bottom you can see we organise various summits, invitation-only meetings. Some people on the call will join some of these summits. And we keep these small, no more than 50 people, invitation only, and a great chance to network. We'll tell you a bit about our Connected Home Summit that we're planning in the future a little later on. You can glance at this slide maybe when you're looking at the slides after if you want to see the details, but to give you a feel of our client base, mainly in Europe, leading energy companies and product manufacturers. So the reason we launched the Connected Home service is we had many of our clients coming to us with questions on connectivity and on the Connected Home. We thought this might be interesting just to see if any of these questions chime with the sorts of questions you have. So I think Google's acquisition of Nest has caused probably fear amongst some of our clients. So the major heating controls manufacturer certainly wanted to understand a bit more about how their business might change in the future, or their market might change in the future with connectivity and connected heating controls. Boiler companies and heating appliance manufacturers, I think, generally recognize they'll need to build connectivity into their appliances in the future, and some have been asking us for help as they develop their strategy and tactics in this area. Utilities, we've been working with in a number of different ways. You can see here one interested in launching a new product or developing a product and wanting to really understand the user interface and how customers can interact with connected home products, looking at what's on the market and recommendations for what they should do. And a more generic piece in the top right around the future of home energy management systems, ICT, information communication technology, and what's the market opportunity for home energy management in the future. So this probably chimes with some of the questions you have, but these are the questions that we're hearing from the market. I'd like to now hand over to Ali, who will tell you briefly about our Connected Home service before Arthur tells you, shares some of our research highlights and perspectives on the Connected Home market. So Ali, over to you.
Thanks, Sean. So before I speak about the Connected Home deliverables, here's a diagram on how we see the space. So the Connected Home universe is one that covers a wide range of areas, such as it can be seen in this bubble, we have energy, security, assisted living, entertainment, and many others, basically. We, however, at Delta, given our unique background in energy, we provide a deep insight into the electricity and heat management aspects of the Connected Home market. So, but position to help our subscribers understand the future direction of the market, and in turn, among other things, we can help them develop the right customer propositions and adopt successful business strategies. So here's an overview of what the Connected Home service has to offer. So on the top left corner, as you can see, we have our info base of products and partnerships. It is a database of approximately 50 products, which tend to be focused on energy and heat aspect of the Connected Home space. I will go through an example of one of these in a few moments. Second, we have our in-depth reports. These are reports, in general, 15 to 30 pages. They are on specific topics. We've already completed our first one, which was on the annual state of the market. Arthur will be giving you some highlights on that in a few moments. And we are currently working on the next report, which is on different business models in the Connected Home space. It is a topic that many of our subscribers have been interested to learn more about. Third, we have our forecasts. So we provide outlook and forecast for the connected home market on the different scenarios. We categorize the market by country, by product type, and look to deliver these forecasts based on the current market status, future trends. We also look at market drivers, barriers such as the policy framework in each country, and the value for the end user and industry players. This basically allows us subscribers to identify market opportunities and adopt their strategies accordingly. As I mentioned previously, our aim is to help our subscribers succeed in this highly competitive space. And finally, the Connected Home Service offers tailored support and networking opportunities for subscribers. This includes a place at our invitation-only roundtable expected to be held early on next year. So here, as I mentioned to you, it's an example of one of the product reviews. The product is Green Moment. So it's a Spanish company. It is currently active and offering its product in several European countries, as it can be seen on the map in the bottom left corner here. The box next to it shows the different routes to market that company is adopting. So for example, in this case, we have the product being pushed highly through the retailer, but also being made available through partnerships with utilities and telcos. In the middle here, we have estimated sales of the product. And on the right-hand side, we have additional information about the company and the product functionalities. In the top left corner here is where we provide our opinion. This is based on our conversations with the industry and how we see it based on our experience in the space. It is possible to compare these products with one another thanks to our Excel info base, which I will show you. So it is an info base that gathers all 50 products, and basically it gives features such as more information about the company. It gives a link to the demo for the product, information on the price, route to market, functionalities, and basically it allows for our subscribers to compare these products with one another depending on features that they would like to change. So for example, if we're looking for a product that has boiler monitoring, like a remote monitoring capability, then we come here, and this provides a list of all the products that has this capability. So it is a simple and easy to use tool. We use it ourselves internally at Delta, and it is definitely something that helps our subscribers in terms of having a good understanding. And we basically keep these products up to date, and also are always on the lookout for additional ones to be added. So yeah.
Thanks, Abe. This is Arthur speaking now. I will now present you some highlights from the annual State of the Market report. So this was the first in-depth report on the service that we published in May to our subscribers. We will probably update this report every year, and subscribers will therefore be able to see the changes that happen in this market over the years. And by the way, if you subscribe at any time, you will have access to all reports previously published. So in this section, I will talk to you through the structure of the reports, the key groups of players, the key offerings, the key countries we see as current winners right now. So the aim of this State of the Market report was really to see what's happening in the market today, what types of products are working, what are the key functionalities, the routes to market, how well these products have been sold, and also to understand where these products have been successful. So really to understand how this market works, we took two angles for the energy part. One by key players and key offerings, on the left-hand side, and in the middle you can see like key countries. So for the key countries in Europe. And as we talked about, we don't want to focus only on energy, but also on security. Therefore, we had a look at the European security market, looking at why we think it's not driving the connected home as well as it does in the US. But we won't be talking about this in this webinar. However, if you have any questions, feel free to ask it in the question box. So to start with, we will talk about the key groups of companies active in this space. The first one is full home automation specialist. These companies were the first ones to be in the connected market. They've been here for decades and always have been providing expensive and tailored solutions for the end user.
Could you give one or two examples, Arthur, maybe of those types of companies?
Sure. If you take the example of Schneider Electric, for example, what you can do if you build your own house, you can ask Schneider to design you a domotic or full home automation system, and therefore you can control your heating remotely, have some scenarios for lights, music, and other entertainment things.
But at the moment, these are not particularly high volume offerings. Is that right?
That's right. We really find that they struggle a little bit to catch up with the disruptive companies. So they obviously offer really nice solutions. Everyone would love to have them, but they are really expensive and hard to put in place. The next type of company is one we know really well, the heating appliance manufacturers. So the boiler, the heating control manufacturers. And as John said before, they really see their business under threat and want to react. Some like Bosch have clearer and more aggressive strategies than others. But so far most of them have two engineering-led solutions and not them customer-focused to be successful in space against the fast-moving players.
One of the challenges of these companies is they're often 2 or 3 steps removed from the customer. So they're selling through wholesalers and installers, and therefore, if they're working on customer-focused solutions, this is quite a change for their business. It doesn't mean they can't succeed, but I think it's one of the challenges that these type of companies have.
Yeah, that's true. Next type of company, many of you on the call are, the utilities in Europe. Lots of them have already established partnerships with smart thermostat providers.
And you could probably break them into two or three groups. So some utilities are really just a channel for other companies and just selling other companies' products, sometimes branded under the utility. So it may be a third-party product but with the utility's branding, or sometimes with a brand of the third party. So some utilities are acting as a channel. Other utilities are going a step further and actually investing either in a platform or a platform and a product or a product. So to give you a couple of examples, in the Netherlands, Eneco is working as a channel for QB, but has branded it under Eneco's own brand, whereas RWE in Germany and British Gas in the UK have their own products and platforms that they've developed.
The next type of product we see in the market are the connected home specialists. So all the startups, disruptive players in the market. So the likes of Nest, Tado, QB, etc. These companies are really disrupting the heating control market with very simple and focused single. So they don't design products on the engineering side. They really think about what the customer could want, and then bring up a solution. The next type of company are the telcos. So these companies have a strong install base of customers already, and start to be very active in the connected home space. But today, there are very little activities in the energy space, except maybe a few of them. mainly because in the US, telcos have started through security and have then developed connectable platforms. But in Europe, we find that it could be very difficult to do.
So companies in the US like Comcast and AT&T have been really successful with security offerings and have now broadened that out to include energy offerings. I think the telcos can play in a few ways. They could either, like we were saying with the utilities, act as a channel and use their customer base and probably their better brands than some European utilities, I'm afraid to say, to offer these products. Or they can take a more central role and try and position themselves as a platform player or even developing products. So we see different telcos offering different solutions and taking different positions in this market.
And finally, obviously, as you have heard, the internet and electronic giants such as Google, Apple, Samsung, they all have entered the space this year, and they have the resource to move very quickly in the space.
And again, it's even though they're one group of companies, we see really different strategies. So some are working more at defining an ecosystem and a more software-led approach, perhaps, for example, Apple HomeKit. Others are working as well with hardware, like Google and Nest, which is thermostat, smoke alarm, acquired a camera company. So we see a mix of strategies here, some software only and platform-based, some having hardware in them as well.
So here's a slide summarizing the key offerings we see in the European connectome market. So the first one, the 1A and 1B, are the remote heating controls, either replacing a programmer or replacing a programmer controlling several TRVs, so more multi-zonal system. We think these products have the biggest impact in the market. And we will talk about this more in depth in a minute, but the key players today in the space are really Hive, QB, Tado, Nest, and on the multi-zonal heating systems, the likes of Honeywell and Danfoss. The second key offering we see is more smart home focus type products with electrical appliances, smart plugs, smart lightings, etc. So there is an increase in interest from the end users, but no product is really clearly winning out today. Then the third one, the electricity and macro generation optimizations, where products can take advantage of on-site generation or heat pumps to increase the overall efficiency of the energy system in the house. But we really see this rather as a niche today, and therefore less successful than the rest. On the fourth point, in the Nordic countries specifically, some products take advantage of the dynamic tariffs available, and this has for them to reduce the energy bill and without having an impact on the comfort for the end user. Again, that remains quite a niche today and explains why Nordic countries are a bit behind some European countries. Finally, the fifth point is what we call appliance asset management, or what we can also call remote diagnostic. So that's something we see more and more, but in terms of sales last year, this didn't have a big impact on the market.
I think one thing to point out, as you see in the right-hand column, that some of the companies we highlight are playing in more than one area. So Tado would be an example of that. It offers a remote heating control programmer and has recently announced a remote diagnostic offering as well. Okay, we'd like to launch another poll now. So it's a question for you rather than a fact from you. So we'd like to ask you, how many smart thermostats do you think have been installed in Europe to date? So over the last year, since the products were offered, how many smart thermostats do you think have been installed in Europe? And we'll give you our estimate once you've voted. So we can see the votes coming in now. We'll give you another 10 seconds or so to to make your choices. Okay, we'll close the poll now and show you the results. So, the majority of you think less than 200,000. There's a few of you who think it could be between 600 and 800,000. Well, we think that most of you are a little pessimistic about this market, actually, because according to our research, and it's sometimes difficult to get the hard facts here, but we think we've got a good picture of the numbers. So we think between 400 and 600,000 have been installed across Europe today. So we're in agreement with 11% of you. 11% of you are more optimistic than us in terms of the sales, but a lot of you think the sales are lower. So as I said, the hard facts are sometimes difficult to get here, but from all of the conversations and analysis we do, we think it's in this middle band.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on what we call smart thermostat. So the next two slides will give an explanation of how the heating control market is evolving in Europe. So one thing you have to know is that the heating control install base in Europe, in most countries, is made of very basic and old-fashioned products, as you can see on the top left corner.
Maybe just one slight generalization here to avoid offending anyone who offers a very sophisticated heating control product. In some markets, heating control products can be quite, the functionality can be quite good with weather compensation and so on, but they generally look like the picture here. White molded products, we call them, with very technical interfaces and quite a world away, I think, Arthur, from the sort of interface you're used to seeing on an app on your mobile phone.
Yeah, exactly. They're not engaging very much with the end user, and they often forget that they have to program their heating. So a new generation of heating control is emerging with the smart thermostat market. As you can see, the two boxes in the middle on the top. So the ones replacing a programmer to control the temperature of the whole house, so in the blue box, and the ones able to control the temperature in different rooms, the yellow box. So the first one, the likes of Tado, QB, Nest, Net Atmo in France, they are really affordable for customers. They are often between 100 and 300 euros. They offer the remote controls for smartphones and sometimes offer some automation and learning functionalities. And they are really designed for the end user compared to the ones on the left. The next one, the ones able to control different rooms, like Honeywell and Danfoss, are really good in terms of potential energy savings, as you are not in all rooms of your house at the same time. But these products are more expensive, as you have to install connectivity in several rooms. And finally, on the right-hand side, the last big trend we see on the heating control side is the remote heating diagnostic. So these products have sensors in the boiler, and they're able to detect in advance some problems that the plumber can anticipate, and therefore avoid some boiler breakdown. So companies like Bosch, Thales, BDR, Thermea, British Gas already offer or trial these products, and they really have the potential to save money for the end user, to avoid these boiler breakdowns, and for the installer, as they could avoid to go twice to the house of the customer, and therefore it's basically a more efficient operation for them. So the graph below shows, illustrates the previous and current sales of the remote heating control market. So as you can see on the left-hand side, there was not much activities before 2013. So all these, the European and American startups, so the Nest, Tado, etc., were developing at that time. There were some trials, but not really any commercial activity. The first commercialization we saw in Europe around 2012, 2013, and this year, or the last heating season, we really saw a smart thermostat early growth, a first boom of this market with nearly 500,000 of them installed. And for the future, why we think this will keep growing? Well, it's really a combination of supply. So as we say, all the utilities, heating manufacturers, and new startups are pushing these products. And a combination of market pull from customers through willingness to improve energy efficiency, improve comfort in the house. Then we also have higher technology awareness, and the cost of these products going down through utility channels, telco channels, or others.
As Arthur said, it's very difficult to create a single forecast because of the dependence on the market on how much push there is. We've seen, taking the UK as an example, British Gas and Nest invest in quite a lot of market creation activity with adverts, product placement, a lot of marketing spend. And obviously this results in sales and helps to create the market. Looking forward to 2015, 2016, it's to read the market, you need to really read what the strategies will be of the different players in the market. And that's where we try and get insights, we get close to all the key companies in this space to develop different scenarios for how the market might develop. Just a reminder, if you've got questions you'd like to ask us, then please feel free to use the question box and the chat feature. You can address your questions just to us if you want, or you can address them to everyone on the call. And we'll pick up questions at the end. So we've had a few come in already. Please keep sending your questions in. We'd like to hear them and have a chance to respond to them.
So as I said before, the key products selling relatively well today are the smart thermostat, this remote heating control systems, with nearly 500,000 of them installed in Europe today. It's led by companies like Hive, Tado, QB, SY, Nest, for example. And what we really see is that there are successful routes to market that help these products being installed. Here on the top right corner, you can see one example of a successful routes to market, where connected startups partner with the utility, and the utility is really aggressive with marketing. So a good example of this is British Gas in the UK. And they promote these products a lot to their install base of customers, often at reduced price or for free, again with an energy contract. And they also have the advantage of providing the installer for free. So this is a working route to market. There are others working as well. Some startups offer directly their product online via Amazon, the Apple Store, etc. So Tado and Nest are doing that a lot, for example.
One of the challenges for these companies that you see, well, maybe apart from Bosch, but the likes of Climate, QB, Tado, ICY, how do they reach customers? So they either have to have deep pockets and try and reach customers themselves, or be very cost efficient in how they reach customers, or find a channel partner like a utility or a telco, as Arthur described.
And for the other companies like Honeywell and Danfoss, who have really established heating control businesses in Europe, there is an example of a challenging route to market for them in terms of this market. They're often in their traditional distributor installer channel, and no one is really interested in promoting these products. The margins are really high on each part, and what they also really like is a customer brand, explaining why their sales remain much lower than the products above.
So this traditional route to market works well for building products, but we think it can be challenging for consumer products. But if you're an established player in this route to market, then it can be quite difficult to then establish a different route to market. So that's a challenge for a lot of the companies that are more traditional building product companies rather than consumer companies.
So as we said, we estimate nearly 500,000 smart thermostats installed in Europe, but we really see some trends in terms of countries and where these products have been installed. So on the left-hand side, you can see a map of Europe with the more orange countries where we see the sales, higher sales than other countries. So these countries are the UK, Netherlands, Germany, and France. And all of them have different drivers for smart thermostat. If you look at the UK, for example, we mentioned the really poor or basic heating control install base, and therefore that leaves a lot of room for improvement for heating controls. There is a very competitive environment between utilities. So the big 6 utilities in the UK are fighting for customer acquisition and retention, and 4 of them are already offering smart thermostat. And finally, more than 15 startup new players are in this market, which therefore raises the overall awareness on the customer side. So this is why we therefore see the UK as one of the leading countries. In the Netherlands, there is a similar story between the 3 major utilities who all offer some kind of home energy management system. But there is also replacing the heating control system, but just an upgrade of their current thermostat. In Germany, that's a different story. As probably know, the utility market is a bit different. But there are strong initiatives from RWE and Cubicon from Dutch Telecom offering a platform product. So they have brought lots of partners on their own platform and now are able to offer different products through different companies. And also, Germany is really famous for having customers who are willing to pay higher prices for heating controls. When they install a boiler, they often spend €1,000 just on this heating control side, and they are really willing to make energy efficiency improvements in the house. So that's really driving the market. In France, again, completely different stories. What we thought would drive the market strongly would be the new build regulations. So in France, there are nearly 300,000 new properties every year, and what the regulations say is that supposedly every new property should have some kind of remote thermostat, remote heating controls, and home energy management system. But it's up to the housing developers and the thermostat provider to really make this happen. And the regulations are actually not that clear to make this happen. There are other countries, like in the Nordics, where we see niche markets with dynamic tariffs. In south of Europe, Spain and Italy are more looking at how to manage PV systems. But it's generally the overall picture of Europe.
We've had one question come in, and what do we think is the winning strategy? Well, I think if we knew the winning strategy in this space, then maybe we'd be in different jobs. But I think there's a lot of potential different winning strategies here for utilities. A lot will come down to execution and how well a particular strategy is executed. And I think will come down to what appetite the utility actually has. So we see some utilities or energy suppliers that really have a strong appetite to invest in this area, to invest in a platform, to work with on product development, perhaps in a partnership, and have got the appetite and the skills and the patience and investment to do that. We see other energy suppliers that really just want to focus on more of being a channel and finding the right company to partner with, to offer their customer more than commodity. So I think there are lots of different strategies that companies are adopting, and I think we wouldn't say there's any one right or wrong strategy. It comes down very much to the particular company and what they want to achieve, what's the level of their ambition. But we do think that it's really important to define those questions as to what is it you really want to achieve in this space, and then develop a strategy from there. Okay, keeping an eye on time. So we talked about some key questions at the beginning, or we shared these key questions that we'd address. And I'll give a few very quick perspectives here before wrapping up and taking any more questions. So we see lots of potential for value creation for energy and heating companies. Some examples: reducing churn, getting closer to the customer, managing to get value from data, a holy grail for many people, remote diagnostics, new revenue streams. So a lot of opportunities. We see less evidence of those opportunities really being exploited today, but lots of potential for those opportunities to be exploited. In terms of who are the leaders, well, in terms of product offering, companies like Nest, Tato, Hive, QB, these sorts of companies are all doing well. From the utility side, probably RWE and British Gas are furthest ahead in terms of actual product offerings. Essent and Eneco in the Netherlands are doing very well as channel players. And from the heating manufacturer side, probably Bosch stands out as the leader today, I think, placing a strong emphasis on the Internet of Things and connectivity in its future business. And lastly, we see a lot of synergy between energy and the wider connected home, energy as an entry point, and the wider connecting home opening up opportunities for energy companies, but also opening up opportunities for new entrants to come into this space. So we'll flick through the last few slides and then pick up a couple of questions. On the next slide here, we show you a bit more about the service, and you can look at this in our brochure or offline. A couple of key things to point out is the report we're currently working on. In orange here, you can see the report on business models, and the roundtable event, which we'll let you know about in Q1 next year, where there'll be an opportunity for our subscribers and other invited guests to get around the table and debate and talk about some of these issues. On the next slide, again, we'll get through this quite quickly, but you might find this interesting. These are a reflection of the questions that we're being asked. So you may have similar questions, you may have different questions. This slide may help you to pose some more questions to yourself or your own company. And on the next slide here, these are some of the topics that we'll be working on in the future. We'll be driven by what our subscribers ask us to work on. These are some of our ideas and thoughts for the next points. We can run one very last poll and ask you which of these topics, and there may be others, we know that, but from the topics you see here, which of these topics you would most value. Okay, so another half of you voted now, 65% of you voted. We can see the votes coming in as we talk, over 70%, up to over 80%. Last few seconds to vote, over 90%. And we'll close it there and show you the results. So a lot of you are very interested in what Google and Samsung and Apple will do next. That's winning. Routes to market is another really important topic, and third is around the more detailed technical issue around communication protocols and languages. So well, that's obviously interesting for us to see what you want, but hopefully interesting for you to see what other people are also interested in, some of your competitors or other companies in the market are interested in. Okay, so to finish off with, we will send around copies of the presentation to you. We're always delighted and really interested to talk with you, whether you're subscribers or not subscribers, whether you're thinking of subscribing or whether you're definitely not going to subscribe. Would still really value the discussion, the relationship with you, the exchange of views, exchange of opinions, and so on. So we're based in Edinburgh. We've got offices in Denmark, the Netherlands, down in the Midlands of England as well. So delighted to meet with you there or at your offices or talk with you over the phone. We also, obviously, would be delighted if, for those that are subscribing already to the service, want to make sure you get value from your subscription. And for those of you that are not subscribing, we'd be delighted if you want to subscribe. So we list here some of the values and benefits that we think you can get from the service. So for the subscribers on the call, we look forward to delivering these benefits to you over the next year. And for those that are interested, we'd be delighted to talk with you and have a very open discussion about what we do, what we don't do in the service, and how it may or may not be of benefit for you. You can see our contact details at the bottom here. So please don't hesitate at all to drop us a line, pick up the phone to us. If you've got a question for us or you just like our view or opinion on something, delighted to talk with you. We've had a few questions come in, but I'm aware that I did promise would be no more than 45 minutes, and I think we're at time now. So we'll get back to you individually on the questions that you've asked in the next day or two. We'll send around a copy of the presentation, and we'll keep you in touch with what we're doing. So we'll hold more of these webinars. We'll keep in touch through the odd white paper. There are blogs on our website, which if you don't look at, I think you'd find interesting. So if you're not sure whether you're registered to get our updates, drop us an email and we'll check to see whether you're on our Connected Home mailing list, and we'll keep you in touch with what we're doing.